guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Oge and thank you guys so much for tuning in. So I know you have all heard this saying that everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. That is entirely true, and I have my personal stories to back this statement up. So in today's video, we'll be talking about how you should feel the fear but do it anyways. You really need to watch and stick around to the very end because this video is going to be a very interesting one, and I promise you you would find value in it. So without further ado, let's just go right into the actual video. Before I start telling you anything, I need you to have this at the back of your mind that we are all scared. Every single person living on earth is scared of one thing or the other, and that makes total sense because we live in this big and scary world where half the time we don't know what we're doing, but we're forced to make decisions every single day, hundreds of them might I add, that have the potential of either changing our lives for the better or even making it worse than it actually is. So of course you're scared. That is totally fine. But what is not fine, however, is you allowing that fear stop you from actually doing what you're supposed to do or even going after your dream. Now, growing up in my house, we always thought everything was possible. Like nothing was too big. If you want it, you can do it. And we had this policy in the house where if you're interested in something, you come and then you tell my mom, okay, I want to do this. And she'll be like, okay, how much do you have? So if you're really interested, you need to show that you're interested by, contributing to your future. So that's the mentality I grew up with. I knew that if I want anything to go well in my life, I need to take the first step. That was why it was a bit crazy to me when I wanted to start my first business back in uni. I think I was about 18 years old. I was very scared. So before getting admission, I had always wanted to be that person that would go to uni and be able to fend for herself and just do everything for herself because she's earning some money. And that was what I had in mind when my mom asked me. She said, what do you want to do now that you're back from boarding school? And I was like, I want to be a hairstylist. And she was like, why? I told her that it's because I really want to be able to afford anything I want without even having to come back home all the time. And she went with it. She was like, okay, good, let's do it. So I was an apprentice for over a year and I was really good. So ask me why I was so scared of starting. Now, it wasn't because I had not practiced, because I had made hundreds of hairs at that time and good reviews everywhere, but it was just a bit difficult for me because I was not used to being by myself. All the hairs I was making at the time was under my boss, and I felt I wasn't fully responsible. It was a bit difficult for me to come to terms with the fact that I am totally responsible for everything that relates to this business. So of course I was scared. I was terrified, to be honest. Now, why am I telling you this story? I'm just trying to say that this feeling of having this serious pain in my stomach because I'm scared, because I'm nervous, because I'm anxious of taking the first step or of doing something I'm not sure I can be very good at, it never went away. It never went away. As I continue to grow, as I continue to progress, starting different things, going different places, making different decisions, I was still faced with this fear of starting. But honestly, I promise you guys that the fear of starting is the worst. Like once you take the first step, everything else will fall into place. It's so much harder to take the first step than the other steps that would follow. I know this because that is how it has been with me. And I know that it's exactly the same thing with you. I just gave this story to make you know that you're not alone. If you're scared of starting something, you're definitely not alone. For some of you, you may not be as lucky as I am to have had the luxury of having, a sister that believes in you or a mother that's always pushing you to do your best. I think at this point, I have to say that you have to be that person for yourself. Now, even though I grew up having that support, I moved away from home and I had to start making decisions for myself without having to consult anybody, and the fear never went away. But I must tell you something, that I never let that fear stop me. If you want to start overcoming fear, if you want to be able to feel the fear and take actions anyways, you need to trust yourself. If you're having problem trusting yourself, you need to get used to talking to yourself. Talk to yourself as you would talk to somebody else, and that would help you build confidence and a good rapport with yourself. Because believe it or not, many people don't have a good rapport with themselves. Many people don't like spending time with themselves, and that is a very bad habits if you ask me. It is very important that you get to know yourself, you spend time with yourself, you understand what you like as an individual. That way it will help you make better decisions for your life. Another thing that has helped me get over my fear of taking the first step is books. reading books. Now, I have always been somebody that loves books, but back in 2019, I made the deliberate effort to read personal development books, business books, just self-help books, because in a way it kind of helped me find confidence in myself. I found myself implementing all the advice that these people are giving, and I can tell you that my life is better because of the books that I read. I also learned to start asking myself, what is the worst that can happen? I ask myself, what is the worst that can happen? And when I decide what the worst that can happen is, I remind myself, because I read it somewhere, that 99% of the things that we are scared of never happens anyways. So I remind myself that the chances of this thing happening to me right now are very, very low, and it just makes making the first step a lot easier, because I know that, well, I'm not going to die, nothing is going to happen. Maybe even if the worst that can happen right now is, I may make a mistake, it may not turn out the way I want it to turn out, but why is that so bad? If I do it right now, I'm still going to have time to redo it because I started early. So that is all I'm trying to tell you guys. Even if you find yourself in a situation where you think, well, everything is going to shit, just trust yourself. I cannot explain this enough. Trust yourself to make the right decisions for yourself. So I hope this video has been helpful to you, and yes, thank you guys so much for watching to the very end. If you're not subscribed already, feel free to subscribe and leave a comment. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Mwah!